I grew up in the late 90s and the early 2000s, and I'm trying to think, if I could just take one thing, use one thing to describe my entire childhood, what would it be? I got a computer when I was 4, but that thing was so frustrating to operate. We had a platform game for it. I don't know what it was called, but you played as a superhero duck, and there was this key. We accidentally kept pressing it on the keyboard, and the screen would turn magenta and crash. And we didn't know which key it was, so we kept accidentally doing it. So no, not computers, no. Our parents didn't let us watch television until we were older, when we finally got cable, so for a while, all we did was watch Disney movies on VHS. And my mom would have to force me to watch Disney princess movies because I was in a certain mindset that those were for girls, so I couldn't watch them. Nowadays, I can watch those movies just fine, but it was a different mentality back then. What else? Comics. There was nowhere to buy comics when I was a kid because we lived in such a remote area, so I wanted to buy them so badly. So I went to my friend Benjamin's house and I used to read Spider-Man and Avengers, and I would have given anything to be able to buy a Spider-Man comic, but it wasn't until I was 16 when we finally got a comic book shop in my hometown. So what else? Music. Music was a huge part of my childhood, specifically the Beatles. My parents would play the album One, which was all their number one hits, whenever we went to the big city, and I would rock out to Love Me Do, the harmonica. Oh, God. So, yeah, music was a big part. And speaking of my friends, I didn't have any friends until preschool, so Haya and me were all alone for a while. What was my whole world back then? Well, I think I can boldly say that my entire world was Nintendo. Specifically, the Nintendo 64.
The N64 came out about 5 months after I was born. My doctor recommended that my parents get me a home console to help improve my motor skills, and since my mom had played the NES and the SNES when they first came out, it was only natural that she'd get the next Nintendo console.
Thanks to them, I have amazing motor skills now, but I'm socially awkward and play video games too much. So anyway, the first game I got for that console shaped my preference on gaming forever, and as an homage to my favorite game series of all time, I'm making a new series called Mario Moments. Here's how it works. I will pick a Mario game, any Mario game, in no particular order, review it 100% front to back, and give my thoughts on it, trying to make a complete review. So, without further ado, let's do my first Mario moment on the first game I ever played. Super Mario 64.
It's me, Mario!
Classic.
Hello!
I always found this part really fun, where you can just contort Mario's head around. Yeah, I'm getting distracted. The first file is my original childhood file. It took me about 13 years to actually beat the whole thing. Let's play a new file so we can see the beginning. We open up on a letter from Princess Toadstool, now given her Japanese name Peach. As the letter states, Peach baked a cake for Mario and is inviting him over. Afterwards, we cut to a Lakitu with the camera, who gives us a nice exterior shot of the castle. He goes up and around under the drawbridge until we make it to this green pipe. And after a long, drawn-out reveal, come on, yeah! We finally get to see Mario in his low-poly, blocky form, his first true appearance in 3D. Talking to this Italian word box can explain how easy it is to control this game. Speaking of controls, isn't the analog stick just beautiful? In the past, we could only move characters 8 directions with a D-pad, but with an analog stick, that number jumps up to 360 directions. That's a difference of 352, giving us almost unlimited possibilities for movement. But I'm getting off topic. Again, let's just play some Mario. As you approach the door, you're greeted by the camera of this game. It's kind of a clever way to explain the camera, but doesn't really explain the camera at the very beginning. He explains how to control the camera with the C buttons and the R button. Quick theory. He claims to be from Lakitu Camera Brothers. Could this perhaps be a reference to the Remove 2 player? Let's enter the castle.
There we go. Bowser.
Well, as you may have guessed, Bowser has taken the princess, and it's up to Mario to save her.
Now, I must warn you, the moment I click the A button, a feeling of nostalgia so strong will overcome me. A song so amazing will begin to play. You ready?
It's just as magical as I remembered. At the beginning, there's only one level open, which is Bob-omb Battlefield, so let's head there.
Let's go!
Here we are at level 1, Bob-omb Battlefield. Not really a battlefield except for the cannon, but hey, whatever. In Bob-omb Battlefield, there's one simple rule. Pink is good, and black is kamikaze. As a kid, this was the first level I ever played in a video game, and I just had so much fun just running around the green fields and shooting myself out of a cannon, picking up bombs, throwing them, using this weird trick to push yourself through the bars. It was just such a fun time. When you walk past the Chain Chomp, you can see this star behind a cage, and it's like, there's so much to this world I don't know yet. As an adult, the world seems kind of empty now, but as a kid it was like, holy moly, this world has so much stuff to do. As you probably noticed, we clicked on the very first mission, which is to defeat King Bob-omb. As a kid, I was terrified of King Bob-omb. I didn't want to go anywhere near him. Really, I just spent most of my time playing around in the front of the castle. The only reason I knew there were more levels is because I saw my mom playing them. But after being afraid for the longest time, I finally mustered up the courage to go face him, and after a few attempts, I finally beat him, and I was so pleased with myself that I beat him 1,000 more times again, and again, and again before I finally moved on with the game. I was so proud of myself. Nowadays, there's really nothing to it. Get behind him, throw him 3 times, and he explodes. If you throw him off the cliff, his imaginary health replenishes, and he jumps back up, calling you a cheater. After you beat him, he explodes and releases the first Power Star. Okay, now let me switch over to my main file to show you guys the rest of the game. So the main goal of the game is to collect all the Power Stars in each level, not to be confused with the similar looking but differently functioned Star Man which made Mario invincible in previous games. There are 121 Power Stars in the game, 7 hidden in each of the 15 levels, 15 secret stars in the castle itself, and 3 Bowser boss fights. Each level has 6 missions with a star at the end of each one. The only way to get the 7th star is by collecting 100 coins. The first level is Bob-omb Battlefield, which I just went over so I won't spend too much time on it, but in my opinion it's a really good way to start the game. It gives you a big open field so you can try out some of Mario's new moves. Some of the Power Stars are pretty obvious, but other ones are hidden, so you have to explore and experiment to find them. Like this one, where you have to get inside the cannon and shoot through a bunch of rings. The next level is Whomp's Fortress, which was one of the more scary levels when I was a kid. The level itself isn't scary, it's pretty cartoony and colorful, but it's just a floating island above a void, which a lot of levels in this game are like that. And it scared me as a kid. I don't know why. It's just a never-ending fall. The first mission in this level is to fight against the second boss, King Whomp, or the Whomp King. What's a Whomp? Well, it's this big slab of concrete, kind of like a thwomp. Here's a thwomp. What's a thwomp? It's a square of concrete. They both try to crush you, but in different ways. Thwomps prefer to just go up and down and hope that you go under them eventually, and Whomps just wander around and then faceplant in the ground. King Thwomp is huge, but he's pretty easy. You just ground pound his back 3 times and he dies. In the remaining 5 missions, there's suddenly a giant fortress that sprung up where King Whomp once stood. Some other highlights of this level is this Bullet Bill, the only Bullet Bill in the whole game, and the Owl. You wake him up by shaking his tree, and he can help you reach higher places in the level, but only for a limited time before he drops you. I like Whomp's Fortress. My only real problem with it, though, is it reuses the exact same music from Bob-omb Battlefield. Okay, next level, Jolly Roger's Bay, one of the more serene levels. It's not as big as the first 2 levels, but it's just dripping with atmosphere. Oh, then that music, the music is so good here. I'm not sure if you'd consider this guy a boss, but you have to fight this eel 3 times. He was kind of unsettling when I was a kid, but really I just didn't know how to lure him out for the first mission. In fact, I still don't really know how to do it, he just kinda does it. One thing I really appreciate about this level is when you enter the subterranean cave, some reverb is added to the music. Next level is Cool Cool Mountain. Cool Cool Mountain. This one is a fairly simple snowy level. I will say though, the third mission, Big Penguin Race, was one of the hardest levels of my childhood. It took me until I was 13 to finally beat it. This level's still hard. You have to race this big blue penguin on this ice slide, and I just kept falling off and gaming over and running back and falling off and I hated it. It was just not fun. With every other slide in the game, there's like a rail to keep you from falling off, but this one is like, oh no, you're on your own. I don't know how I finally beat it. I still get confused with the Little Lost Penguin mission, because I never know which baby penguin's the right one. For the good of the kingdom! And now we're up to... oh no. Yes, we've come to the next major milestone. Bowser. As a kid, I just didn't want to fight him. It was a mix of fear, which... what didn't scare me in this game, and I was apprehensive about continuing, which still happens to me as an adult. I remember begging my dad to beat him for me, and my dad doesn't play video games, so he just told me, you gotta learn how to do things on your own. Looking back, he probably just said that so I would stop bothering him, but it seemed to work. Immediately after he told me that, I went to go try out the level. Bowser in the Dark World. The level leading up to Bowser is pretty barren when it comes to enemies. In fact, it's mainly platforming. After you clear the level, you finally make it to Bowser.
So long, Bowser. Oh.
Yeah, take that, you overgrown turtle. The battle's fairly simple. You just take him by the tail, swing him around, and propel him into one of these bombs. After defeating him, he spins away and we get a key, which unlocks the next part of the game. But before we go to the basement, let's check out the next level, Big Boo's Haunt, which is found in the courtyard. There's the legendary statue. I had my own theories on how to get Luigi as a kid. None of them involved the statue. I just thought it looked really cool. The level is located inside a Boo, which is ironic, I think. As a kid, this level wasn't scary, ironically. It was just really foreboding. The level is chock full of secrets, boos, a big Boo, an eyeball, flying books. This level is notorious for its killer piano, which is really out of place. Everything else in this game is pretty cute and colorful, and while this stage has some pretty spooky imagery, it's just a piano with teeth and gums. It's kinda horrific. The boss of this level is Big Boo. You have to fight him 3 times, and you defeat him by ground pounding him 3 times. He's pretty easy. One area that always piqued my interest is the hallway outside the Boo merry-go-round. Looking through the red fence, I always speculated what lurked beyond. Up next is Hazy Maze Cave, a dank, gross, disturbing underground level. Out of all the levels, this was the one that all my childhood conspiracies came from. Where's Luigi? Well, he's through that door, of course. Where's Waluigi? He's in that hole. Where's Yoshi? He's on the roof, you dummy. One key feature of note in this level is Dory, this realistic dinosaur. She looks kind of disturbing and out of place in a Mario game. In later Mario games, she would be redesigned to look more cartoony, but to me this will always be the true Dory. Next course is Lethal Lava Land, an eerie fire level. This level was always one of my favorites because of its dark and sadistic vibe. The main enemy of this level are the bullies, who look kinda like bomb-oms with horns. They can only be defeated by being pushed into the lava. My method was always ground pounding them. This level's boss is the giant bully, and he's defeated the same way as his smaller counterparts. 2 things of note in this level are, 1, a large volcano in the center that you can enter, leading to a large sub-level, and 2, this nice 2D drawing of Bowser. Next level is Shifting Samlands, which reuses the same music as Lethal Lava Land. As you may have guessed from the name, it's a desert level. As far as I'm aware, this is the only level in the game with pokies. Also in this level is a giant vulture named Klepto, who steals your hat if you're not careful. Without your hat, you take twice the damage as normal, so try to get it back as soon as possible. This level also features Fly Guys, who are shy guys but can fly. Hands down, the best part about this level is the boss, Irok. Getting to him is a little bit tricky. You have to stand on all 4 pillars around the pyramid, but sometimes it doesn't register that you stood on one, so you gotta try it a few times. If you're successful, the top of the pyramid explodes and you gain access to Irok. When you enter his lair, you'll find his tomb. Standing on it will anger him, and he'll take the form of 2 stone hands to fight you. As a kid, Egyptian mythology and mummies used to really freak me out, so there was something exciting about this boss. Level 9 is Dire Dire Docks. Dire Dire Docks. This level setting really weirds me out. Are we in a giant puddle? Perhaps we shrank? The first mission is called Board Bowser's Sub, and after we beat it, we gain access to the second Bowser boss fight. Kinda weird that Bowser has a sub. I don't see what he would need it for unless it can go through lava. On a side note, after you complete the second Bowser fight, the submarine disappears. There's not much else to say about Dire Dire Docks, except that it uses the same music as Jolly Roger Bay. After you get the star, you unlock a secret passage to the second Bowser fight. Bowser in the Fire Sea. This stage is a lot harder than the first Bowser stage, but instead of bottomless pits, it's filled to the brim with lava, making jumps a little bit easier. When you finally get to Bowser, he has 2 new moves. He can jump up super high and rock the stage around, or he can teleport for some reason. Seeing how cool Bowser is in this game reminds me of something I read in a Nintendo Power years ago. I can't find it, but it was a letter to the editor saying how Bowser used to be cool, but he's no longer cool, and I agree with it. Don't get me wrong, I love Bowser, but he used to roar and charge at you head on. Now he just grunts and has some odd scheme despite his huge size advantage to Mario. It wasn't until 3D Land when we finally got a return to the roaring, menacing Bowser. Anyway, this battle is really hard. He sometimes jumps and tilts the entire stage, and if you fall in the lava, there's no way to get back up. And like I said, teleporting's a bit weird for Bowser. Just like before, throwing Bowser into a bomb will defeat him, and you'll unlock the next part of the game. Going upstairs, we find the final group of stages. Up next is Snowman's Land. Despite being similar to Cool Cool Mountain, Snowman's Land has a lot more features, such as an igloo, a giant snowman, and a chill bully. Yes, the boss of this stage is a chill bully, who's like a bully, but chill. Beneath him is a pool of cold water, which carries similar properties to lava from Lethal Lava Land. Next, we have Wet Dry World. Depending on how you enter the painting, the water level can start low, in the middle, or high. You can also change it by touching these weird diamonds. I like the underwater city, and the stage as a whole seems to imply a lot of sinister backstory through its visuals. Our next stop is Tall Tall Mountain, which is a very tall mountain overgrown with giant fungi. I always associated this level with acrophobia. The red coin mission in particular always gave me a heart attack. The mountain has a lot of weird features. Sentient clouds, hidden slides, and a monkey that steals your hat. Reaching the peak is challenging but satisfying. Next is Tiny Huge Island. As the name implies, you can switch between a giant island and a smaller island. Most of the enemies carry over but shrink and grow to fit their surroundings. The boss is a Wiggler, the only Wiggler in the whole game. To get to her, you have to drain this puddle in Tiny Island, and then enter the hole in Huge Island. That's about it for this stage, except for one thing. This guy, Bubba. This guy was the bane of my entire childhood. He freaked me out. Every time he would eat me, it would send shivers down my spine. Nowadays, he's pretty easy to avoid. Up next, we got Tick Tock Clock, a level that takes place in a giant grandfather clock. If you jump in while the hands are on different times, you can make the level slow down, speed up, or stop altogether. Different missions are harder or easier with different speeds. Some are just straight up impossible, especially with time stopped. Unlike previous levels, which emphasized exploration, this level is more focused on basic platforming. The final stop is Rainbow Road, which also gave me acrophobia. I'm wondering if anything didn't freak me out back then. Anyway, this level is really magical, a great way to finish it all off. You can ride magic carpets, board pirate ships, platform. The whole experience is really fun. Outside of the main courses, there's 15 hidden stars within the castle itself, and 3 different caps to unlock. The Wing Cap, which is the flagship power-up of the game, is really fun to use, but it's not as easy to control as the Tanuki suit or the cape. However, it offers a completely unique experience. The Metal Cap, which turns you into Metal Mario, helps you explore the seafloor and protects you from fire and poison. And lastly, there's the Vanish Cap. It's very situational. You'll need it to get a few power stars, but outside of that, it's worthless. Alright, we have 120 stars. All we need is one more star and our princess. After you get 70 stars, the endless stairs stop being endless, and you can reach the final boss, Bowser in the Sky. The stage leading up to Bowser is a grueling gauntlet of tricky platforming and familiar foes. If you know what you're doing, it's not all that hard, but even the most experienced player might die a few times. Here we go. Listen to that music. We finally made it. There he is. Third verse, same as the first, but this time Bowser has some new moves. For one, when he jumps, he creates a shockwave. He can also use his jump to break off parts of the stage. He can also send fireballs flying down from above, which can be really irritating. However, the biggest difference with this fight is Bowser has to be thrown 3 times. Luckily, this stage has an extra bomb, but it still takes a lot of skill to get 3 bullseyes. After throwing him twice, he breaks the stage into a star shape, making the third shot even harder. But when you land that final shot, oh, you feel like a king. Come on, come on. Yeah! Woohoo! We grab the final power star and fly a victory lap. We then teleport to the castle front yard, see Peach, and get our reward. Cake. Doesn't sound so bad to me. And now the credits roll. Cool trick, you can move the camera around during this with the second controller. And that's Super Mario 64.
And that's the game. It still holds up. I remember the first time my mom ever beat the game, and eventually I beat it myself. Thank you so much for watching this first episode of Mario Moments. I know I don't have the best quality of camera, and I'm not the most well-spoken guy, but my thoughts are if I ever want to improve at something, I have to start it first. So I'm just trying to get my foot in the door and get better from there. Because I do want to make more video games related content on YouTube, but in order to make more, I have to start, and in order to get better, I actually have to be doing it. So thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.
Thank you so much for playing my game.